Has the U.S. beat inflation?
Hello, friends. Welcome in, one and all. It's just after high noon. Good afternoon, everyone. What a gorgeous day. A little hot outside, but it should be. It's the middle of August. I mean, it is exactly 30 days have September, April, June, and November, all the rest after. Okay, so it's not exactly the middle of, I guess it is. I don't know. It's the 15th. One way or the other, it's the middle of the month, and I'm glad to have you with us on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We've lots to get into and lots to do. Let's start with the pleasantries, get those out of the way, and get into the meat and potatoes of the broadcast. I announced during the crossover with Chris Hand, that's what we call it, the crossover, where Hand and I talk. You know, they do it in the mornings. We do it in the afternoons with Brian Wilson, and I do it with Chris because we are friends in addition to being colleagues, and I love hearing what he had to talk about, and I don't get to listen as often as I would like to the Chris Hand Show. And he, enjoys hearing what I might have to offer you from noon until 3 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And during that time, I mentioned during the first hour of the show, I want to ask you a very specific question. At least those of you that have emailed me, that have communicated with me via social media, at Matt Murphy Show on the X machine, that's where I'm at mostly. You can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. But for the most part, I reside on the X machine with Elon Musk and all of his buddies. And so many of you have been communicating with me, some of you directly. I see you out and about. Trump's off message. Trump needs to get back on message. Trump had such message discipline with Joe Biden. And now that it's Kamala Harris, man, oh man, he's off message. Murph, we gotta have some help here. Get Trump back on message. What message are we talking about? What message are we talking about? And I don't ask this question attempting to lead the jury in any particular fashion or direction. I ask the question sincerely. If you believe that Trump is off message, I believe that there are reasons why what is going on is going on. I don't believe that it's necessarily that Donald Trump is off message or off brand. I think you see a reinvigorated statist party or socialist party. They call themselves the Democrats. They're reinvigorated because they have found a better mule to tote their message. They're what they want to bring to the American people, they have a better mule to bring it now in the form of Kamala Harris. I'm not saying that to besmirch anybody or any mule. I say it because it's a good analogy. If you need to carry a lot of weight from one place to the other, you find yourself a nice pack mule and off you go. Well, they had Joe Biden as their pack mule. A mule doesn't care what they're carrying. If they're carrying 500 pounds of cotton or 500 pounds of human flesh, they don't care. It's 500 pounds. Joe Biden was carrying the weight of the Democrat messaging and could not get it across the finish line. The Democrats recognized that and selected another mule. And as a result, they got a tremendous boost amongst the American population, the dunderheads that don't pay a lot of attention to what's going on in this country. They got a boost because the Democrats were, well, they were all depressed and crying all over themselves because they knew what was going to happen in November. Now they feel like they have a sense of hope. Hope with change. So that's a lot of what I believe is going on. But we'll get into that momentarily after we introduce you to the players of the show and get things lumbering under our own weight. It is Locks for Trump Day 166. On March 1st of this year, I made a commitment that I wouldn't be cutting my hair again until we had a new president-elect of this country. I don't know that I could have waited till Inauguration Day of 2025, but I declared that I would risk my hair or a lack of haircut for the next 4 years in betting that we would have a new president-elect come November 6th. Obviously, we're going to have that in as much as Joe Biden's already been dispatched of. Thank you, Donald Trump, June 27th debate. That said, it is day 166, and if you want to see some of these flowing locks, you may do so on the Super Talk television side of things. More on that in a moment. It is also episode 600 32 of our proceedings today on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Believe it or not, 632 full episodes since the time I first descended upon Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, in December of 2021. It is Thursday, August 15, 2024. Payday for a lot of you. Congratulations. And this, of course, is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can listen to us on a variety of platforms. I encourage you to listen on the radio side of things. That's old school. That's the OG. From Southern Kentucky to Northern Alabama and all points in between. There we are. You can also find us on any place you stream music or news or information or podcast. We are there. Just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN in that search bar. You'll find us, and if we're not there, tell us about it, and we'll get there on any of your platforms. We're talking about TuneIn. We're talking about iHeart. We're talking Spotify. We're talking all of it. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. One of the few times that I say Twitter because it kind of rolls off the tongue that way. You can find us. My portion of the broadcast day is brought to you in part by our good friends at U.S. Pest. Hello, JK. Hello, Erica. Glad to have you with us. And glad to have you a family member of U.S. Pest. And if you're not, you need to be. Keep the creepy crawlies out of your home. They bring you Super Talk Television. Now, it is a masochist job that you have to watch this thing, especially with this ugly mug all up in your grill, but it is what it is. I don't ask that others, well, I take that back. I do ask on the regular that Bell K participate on Super Talk Television. He refuses on the regular. That's why we call him Headless Bell. I have no idea if our in-place producer today, our executive producer today, will be participating on the television side of things. I mean, Jay Harper does. He gathers news headlines, and you see him at least twice an hour and when news breaks. And then our producer today behind the glass is none other than Jeff Malinoff. We lovingly refer to him as KGB.
Yes, sir. I'm actually on the TV right now with you.
Are you now?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Pretty face, and there's Harper in the background. Harper's got a nice new. Did you recently get that haircut, or did I miss something over the last day or two?
No, man, that was, I've had this going on 2 weeks, something like that.
Man.
I just decided, cut it all off. I'm just tired of looking at Murphy, realizing that I look that shaggy. So
it's pretty.
Just cut the stuff off.
It's pretty shaggy, man.
No, man, I think it becomes you, though. You wear it well, as Rod Stewart would say.
Well, thank you so much, Jay. I give you a little hug there during the break. I appreciate that. Malinoff, what is today's episode title? 632. Let's go ahead and take care of this.
Well, it's the KGB proudly sponsors the Matt Murphy Show.
Oh, well, isn't that nice?
Yes, we got your back.
Always listening.
Yes,
That's,
always.
My nickname for KGB has taken on. I mean, he's obviously a Russian agent, considering his last name. So,
True.
And if Russia wanted to infiltrate Music City, Tennessee, if they really wanted to get someone embedded in Super Talk 99.7 WTN, this is the guy that they would do it with. I mean, look at him. He's unassuming. He's soft-spoken. You would never, I mean, he walks into a room, he kind of just melts into the corner. You don't really even notice that he's there. All the while, soaking in the info, gathering the goods, only to deliver it back to his beloved mother country and Vladimir Putin himself.
Hey, he gives me the paychecks, man. I got to do what I got to do.
And see, I like the fact, this is the thing, too. He's leaning into it, if you guys notice. So I've called him out. Ooh, this guy's a Russian spy. He's a KGB agent. And now he's like, oh, yeah, ha, ha, ha. Sure I am. Yada, yada, yada. Here's some Russian on the social media. Which is exactly what a Russian agent would do.
Precisely.
I mean, it's four-dimensional chess. He's 5 moves ahead. I don't know what to do with him.
I mean, if you look at your Twitter, you see me comment. It's mostly in Russian. All of it is in Russian, actually.
It's pathetic the amount of time I've spent going to Google Translator with you.
Well, someone on your Twitter tried to ruin it for us.
Why?
Because she posted something in Russian. I'm like, no, that's my thing.
Yeah, back off, lady.
Yeah.
Was that Meadowbrook lady?
Yeah, the crazy lady.
She's a troll. She won't.
She's a stalker, is what she is.
Yeah, rando troll. I muted her.
Did you?
I finally just muted her.
Yeah, good for you.
I mean,
I saw her post Russian. I'm like, how dare you take my thing? How dare you take the one thing I got that's going to keep me in this job to entertain Matt?
See, that's what I'm doing with Bell K, by the way. While he's gone on some sort of gallivant, I don't know what he's doing, but that's what I'm doing with Bell K. That's why I'm growing the hair long, really, is I'm trying to take away. I mean, what's Bell got going for him beside the hair? Nothing. The hair and the cats and the emotional support cobra, and that's it.
Emotional support cobra.
Actually, now that I think about it, he's got quite a few things going for him.
Yeah.
I don't have an emotional support cobra.
I think everyone would love, if it's actually what it is, an emotional support cobra. Imagine breaking into a house and seeing just a cobra. I wouldn't want that.
Well, but if
actually,
it's an emotional...
I'm trained to handle them thanks to the KGB, but other than that, other people, I don't know.
Yeah, they teach you in the ways of dangerous animals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had to fight a bear to get my position here.
Ah.
Yeah. No, not that kind of bear, a real bear.
That's not what I meant.
Oh, it sounds like what you were going with.
No, I wasn't suggesting that you were required to fight a large, hairy, gay man. Although I don't know, I haven't hired in a while, so I don't know what the requirements are nowadays. What with the DEI nonsense going on. Anyway, so KGB's behind the glass. He's making sure that all of our everything that comes out of your speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. He's also screening your telephone calls at the aforementioned numbers, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. You can also get them in on the membersnutrition.com super text line. You're invited to do that. We'll have a fun Thursday edition of the Murphy Show in store. A business owner is coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. I'm excited about this. Don owns a small shop in Leaper's Fork. It is... It's a great little store. I went in and I went down. I was there several weeks ago with the fam and a couple of friends. And it was the day after Donald Trump got, so it was about a month ago. It was the day after Donald Trump got shot, which was only a month ago. Has anybody, Donald Trump was shot and almost killed. He almost had his brains blown out. Former president and current presidential candidate 30 days ago. Like 30 days ago. A month, it was July 13th, so whatever that is. And it's like it didn't happen within the mainstream media. No curiosity, no questions. The questions still remain as to how the hell all of this happened. The conspiracy theories sure are out there. The general theories are sure out there. But the questions, man, the absence of information leading to speculation, it's insane the amount of time and effort the media is spending not talking about this. But there it is. And then if you missed it, and I did, and I'm going to go back and listen to it, Chris Hand had Susan Crabtree on the show again. And Susan had some additional information about another event in North Carolina. You know, not all missteps and mishaps within the Secret Service manifest themselves in dangerous situations like happened a month ago. Some of them are just there in plain sight, and you're wondering, what in the hell is the Secret Service doing? This one involving a site agent who decided that it was more important to go breastfeed her 2-year-old than to maintain the security of the certain area that she was in charge of, that ultimately led to the security of the president or the former president of the United States of America in North Carolina yesterday. More on that coming up later on. But the day after Trump was shot, I wore my Trump 2024 shirt to Leaper's Fork, and I told this story about walking around Leaper's Fork and getting a lot of "I like your shirt," which was nice. And eventually my buddy Grant and he was the first one to say it. Well, what do you think about the man? And I started saying it too. Well, what do you think? Don't tell me about the shirt. Tell me about the man. And I got a lot of good attitude about it. And I went into this store, and I'm gonna wait until the 2 o'clock hour to tell you what store it is and whatnot when Don stops in. And he had he had some Trump gear in there. He had a lot of military and our veterans themed items for sale. He had a "Don't California My Leaper's Fork" shirt. And that's kind of where the story starts, because apparently the owner of the business, he had that displayed just outside of his shop, the "Don't California My Leaper's Fork." And he was apparently told to remove that and put it back in his shop. And so we'll talk about what's going on down there, the business environment down there, and whether or not here in Middle Tennessee we're seeing a growing trend of attempting to shame Trump supporters in our business community. That's coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that. This hour of the show, the Libertarian Lunchtime, this is what I want to do. So I keep hearing how Trump is so off message by individuals that I would think would be Trump supporters. And I've got a lot of thoughts about this. I understand that with Trump, you get Trump warts and all. I understand that Trump is going to go certain places that might make some uncomfortable. But that's what you get with a Donald Trump, right? What I'm fascinated by are the number of people that have reached out to me to tell me that when Donald Trump was going up against Joe Biden, when he was almost getting his head blown off and when he was enjoying the RNC and when he was dispatching of Joe Biden in June, that he was on message. But now that Kamala Harris is a part of the political now that she's up front and she's the mule for the Democrats to carry and tote their transformative message of how they want to change the United States of America into a country of their own vision, that somehow Trump is now off message. And I don't know what that means. Genuinely. What message do you think Donald Trump is not talking about? He continues to talk about the border as far as I can see. He continues to talk about the economy as far as I can see. Is he going after Kamala Harris? Of course he is. That's who he is. But I'm not here to presuppose I understand what it means. So 615-737-9986. I'm here to receive. I'm here to listen. Genuinely speaking, I don't understand what is meant by Trump is off message. Is it you don't like the personal attacks, the ad hominem attacks? You're uncomfortable. I said myself that I thought it was a poor political maneuver to focus on racial issues or to focus on how Kamala Harris has presented herself in the past. I mean, it might be factual as the day is long. I just don't think it gets in new voters. So I can examine this political maneuver or that political maneuver and tell you what I think works and what I think doesn't work. But I hear the same thing over and over again, and I don't understand what it means. He's off message. Well, what is on message, and what message do you believe that Donald Trump is not sending right now? Or do you believe a lot of this is a bunch of hooey, and we're just in the dog days of summer, and we're all ready to get to September and October and let the games begin when you've got 60 or less days to go? 1223, Super Talk 99.7, WT and Libertarian Lunchtime Hour ongoing on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. You want to feel better and look better? You want to feel better about yourself? Well, it can be the year that you grow your hair back. Hello, it's Matt Murphy for We Grow Hair, the only company in the state to have PAI's multi-unit hair grafting procedure. This trademarked procedure gives you more hair in one procedure than anybody else in the industry. It saves you a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of money, and nobody else has it. It is backed by the only company that I would trust, that is, to help with my thinning hair, and that is We Grow Hair and PAI Medical. We Grow Hair, I went to them some months ago, and I asked them if I was having an issue. Sat down and had an examination, and they said, you know what, you've got a more robust head of hair than most men at the age of 50. However, there might be the beginnings of a little thinning on the crown of your head. I said, I can't have that happen. So I started getting the FDA-approved laser treatments to make sure that my hair is as thick and full as it can be, and to prevent any future hair loss. That's what it's all about, right? So if you've lost hair, or if you're worried about losing hair, or if you're completely hairless, let's go to PAI Medical and see what they can do for you. They have guaranteed results, friends. 615-376-6010. 615-376-6010, or WeGrowHair.com. That's WeGrowHair.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, No lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
New Secret Service protective measures coming for Donald Trump. And an emerging virus strain is causing more and more concern. We'll have those stories at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How militaristic of you.
The plane is working.
You know, I need new, I shouldn't be saying this without Belkay here. I need new bumpers. He always does these bumpers because he's lazy and doesn't want to cut the bumpers out of the podcast. And you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about, right, KGB?
I don't want to insult Bill behind his back.
I love putting you in this uncomfortable position.
The thing is, he is the reason, like, he helps me get more hours in. He helps me fill in. He gives me these opportunities. I appreciate, but Bill, I appreciate you.
Let's not elevate Belkay to the point that, let's not be crazy.
Oh,
let's not be insane.
Fine.
I'm just suggesting that was a little bit too that was kind of a little Putin-y.
Well, I liked it. What does that say about me?
A little Putin-esque. Anyway, 615-737-9986. So what do you mean when you say that Donald Trump's off? I just find it, we continue to beg that Trump is something that he's not. I understand the idea that his speeches can go off the rails. I guess I understand all of this, but I just want to boil it down or get it down to where the goats can graze on it. What you want him just to talk about what? The economy? He spent an hour on the economy. If you expect that the mainstream media is going to pick the best moments of an hour-long conversation that Donald Trump has and present that to the general public, I don't know what to tell you. It's never going to happen. Maybe it's not that Trump is changing over 2016 to 2020 to 2024. Maybe it's that the mainstream media has decided that there is no penalty for going all in on one particular candidate. And that's what they're doing. They did not have a horse with Joe Biden. And so they could not see fit to go all in on Joe Biden. Or maybe they were wise to the plan all along. The Biden replacement theory was real. We saw it happen in real time. And the media didn't say a damn thing about it. Not one single person listening to this radio show. Not one single person in the state of Tennessee, not one single person in the United States of America has voted for Kamala Harris for president of the United States. Not one. Yet here she is. Maybe it's a product of the race tightening. Maybe it's a product of a little nervousness because Kamala Harris can tote that water in a better fashion than Joe Biden ever could. And they have tightened up their messaging, which is just a bunch of garbage. Did you see today she came out with price controls? Or she's going to come out. It is leaked. I think the New York Times had the story originally that Kamala is going to propose, well, why wouldn't she? Price controls. Because, you know, those government-imposed price controls always work, right? All right, so Dan will get to you. Robert will get to you. We've got another on line 3. It is 12:31. News first, and then your calls. What do you want to see out of Donald Trump over the next 3 months? Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It's 12:31. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Plenty of sunshine, 91 degrees. The weather forecast is upcoming. The U.S. Secret Service, they're arranging to resume Donald Trump's outdoor campaign rallies by surrounding him with bulletproof glass. The move following the assassination attempt on the former president last month. We hear all about it from ABC's Catherine Falders.
We're told through sources that the Secret Service has ordered this protective glass, if you will, this glass that would shield Trump, at least on 3 sides, so in front of his podium and on the sides of him, and that is essentially the stipulation for getting him back out on the road at these outdoor campaign rallies.
In health news, global health experts raising the alarm today on an emerging virus strain. We hear from ABC's Ariel Reshef on this issue.
This morning, the World Health Organization declaring Mpox, the virus formerly known as monkeypox, a public health emergency of international concern as cases of a dangerous new strain spread across parts of Africa. Total number of cases is up an alarming 160% compared to last year.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
I understand that it's difficult to trust AC folk because, you know, there's so many of them that just want to upsell you to the next product. Well, Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, they simply do not do it. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a smaller company with big results and big service in mind. I trusted Jeff Eddy with my home. I trust him with my AC. And I know that you can trust him with yours. If you're trying to make a decision about whether to replace or repair, and I mean, let's be honest, there will come a time when your unit has gotten so inefficient, it doesn't make any sense to try to keep, it together. And so Jeff Eddy will tell you when that time comes. And they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they're ready to go with financing options available for you. However, he's not going to try to upsell you 1 or 2 or 3 years prior to that event. He wants to make sure you get maximum life out of your unit. It's their one and only goal. Plus, they never charge you overtime rates. It's a max charge of $125 for a maintenance call on a residence. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling of Tennessee, they have the best value around when it comes to tune-ups. So give him a call if you have any issues with your AC right now. It's very hot, and it will remain so for the foreseeable future, the next couple of months. Go to efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you want to scare yourself straight, come into the studio and look under the counter here. Yikes. Need to get a vacuum underneath there. It's 12:37, Super Talk 99.7 WTN on Super Talk Television, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Hello. Glad to have you with us on this episode 632. Behind the controls is KGB, Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Matt Murphy during your Libertarian Lunch. As promised, your calls. So a lot of conversation on the membersnutrition.com super text line about the issues involving the Trump campaign and his messaging. Andy writes in and says, Matt, you need to have this dialogue with Brian Wilson. He says Trump is off message every afternoon on the drive. He also buys into what the fake polls are pushing and regurgitating fake news. Well, I mean, I'm not saying that at all. I think Brian Wilson has his pulse on or has his finger on the pulse of Washington, D.C., like not many others in this country. Brian and I have some, disagreements about what the polls can mean. And I think my issue with the polls, and I'm not taking anything away from Brian. I love Brian Wilson, and I think he's very intelligent. He's far more intelligent than I'll ever be on some of these things. But I watch as news organizations use polls to drive movement in polls. That's what they do. When it's time for another reset of the news cycle, they create a poll. I disagree with news organizations that are going to report on the polls driving the polls themselves. I think it's fraught with peril, especially when those same news organizations have gone all in on a particular candidate. The ABC News Washington Post poll. Well, what do you think ABC News and the Washington Post want to happen during this election cycle? Do you really believe their polling agency or their polling mechanisms are so exterior to the rest of their editorial operations that it doesn't have some spillover or impact in their polling? I don't buy it for a second. I understand that polls can create a snapshot in time. At the same time, I believe they are used to galvanize in the minds of the American population how things are going to go, which is what is happening right now. So mine is not a besmirchment of anyone who's offering this as an opinion. Mine is just an opinion. And I don't really even have an opinion on it. I'm just asking the question. what is meant when we say Donald Trump's off message? Frankly, and I'm not talking about Wilson or anyone else in particular when I say this, I think when we say Trump is on message, what is really meant is I don't like the way that Trump campaigns. I don't like the way that Trump talks. I don't like it when Trump calls people stupid. I don't like it when this, that, or the other thing. And I understand if you don't like it, and you're entitled to your opinion as well as to how all of this turns out and how it goes, and maybe it impacts an election. I don't know. But it is who Trump has been since 2015 and really long before that. But starting in 2015, we got political Trump, and we kind of understood how he did his business from the beginning till now. I don't know that Donald Trump has changed. The media has changed in the manner in which they react to him. And if you believe that Donald Trump needs to change as a result of the dynamics of 2024 and how they have shifted since 2020 and since 2016, that's a fair criticism. I just don't understand what that means. Because I hear him talking about the border. I hear him talking about the economy. I hear him talking about energy. I hear him talking about foreign wars. I hear all of these things. Maybe someone else, maybe others don't, but I do. Dan is in Franklin with a thought on this. Hey, Dan, how are you?
Hey, Matt, great to talk to you again. Would you say the word besmirchment again? Because I love when you say that.
Maybe before the end of the call, Dan, I'll throw it out at you.
Okay, you're awesome. Two things. One suggestion for the Trump campaign for a commercial, and one suggestion for a topic for you and your team. Number one, on Trump, I would love to see him get an elementary school principal, a small town mayor, and somebody that heads up a publicly traded company, and have all of them say, in my job, I have to answer tough questions from my constituents. I owe it to them because I'm a leader, and they look to me to lead their children, their community, or their investment. And so I need to be able to answer tough questions because I owe it to those people. So we would like to hear Kamala Harris answer tough questions because she's the head of the country, and we demand that.
Well, it's one thing for us to demand it. The question is whether or not voters who are considering whether or not to vote for the woman would demand it as well. And frankly, it has always been a delicate part of our system of government that we have an appropriate and accurate reporting of the news. And right now you have major news organizations that are choosing to ignore this idea that Kamala Harris has not spoken to the voters in however many months. Now, whether or not they continue to ignore that remains to be seen. But for the last month, Kamala Harris has just chosen not to speak to the voters, not to speak. And by the way, one thing we do need to do, though, Dan, and I don't pretend that I'm the first person to think of this. I saw it last night on a social media platform, and I can't remember who said it. But we need to maybe it was National Review. We need to stop going along with these flip-flops. I haven't heard Kamala Harris verbalize. I mean, her spokespeople verbalize these flip-flops, but I don't think she has. So until she comes out and verbalizes that she is pro-fracking, I'm going to call her anti-fracking. Until she comes out and tells me she's pro-ICE, I'm going to call her anti-ICE. And she has to figure it out. And so, yeah. So, Dan, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. I didn't mean to talk over your call, but I just get excited discussing these types of things. Tell me what the deal with line 2 is. You need to help me out on line 2.
So,
line 2's been here. I mean, do I take line 2?
He was here.
KGB, look at me. Do I take line 2 or not?
I wouldn't.
You would not. All right, so I'm taking it. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Am I talking to you actually now?
Robert, you're on the radio with Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The expectation is you will be concise, you will be pithy, you will be to the point. Go.
You got it. Any question of our 45th president, and hopefully 47th, is in his messaging, I wish he would stop referring to himself in the third person. That's alienating. Okay? I know that literally you shouldn't say I, but you can say instead of I will or I won't, you just say won't do this, won't do that. We'll do this, we'll do that. But actually, what I called you in about was, as a vet, I'm not a combat vet. I'm a former U.S. Marine, active service. I was a citizen soldier, and I look at the vice presidential Democratic candidate, and it drives me nuts because stolen glory really teased me off, and I'm trying to keep my language down because it's an aggravating subject. But Mr. Tim, nuggets to the China wall, aggravates me. Come on. You're in Wisconsin. Don't talk about high-carb butter. Let's put it in kinder terms. I can't believe it's butter. Let's see. Parquet? Or put a crown on it, and call it Imperial. But go away.
Remember when Fabio got hit by the goose on the roller coaster?
Yes, I do. That was great.
I'm sorry. You said I can't believe it's not butter. I think Fabio, I go straight to when he got popped in the nose with the goose on the roller coaster.
You got goose in the face? Oh, my God. Yeah.
Robert, I might be the only guy with you, but I'm with you. Call me back later on. I got to get to as many as I possibly can. Robert, God bless you. Thank you for your service. I appreciate the distinction between combat veteran and regular. You don't have to do that to me. You're a United States Marine, and we all appreciate your service. Dan is next in Nashville. Hello, Dan.
I'm sorry. I got smacked in the face with a goose.
Do you remember that when he got popped in the face?
Oh, man. That was yes, I do. But I need, if you don't mind, Mr. Matt.
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. How do you mow it down to where the goats can graze? Because my wife wants goats, and we've got like 2 acres of fallowed pasture, and I'm hoping that what you're gonna say is, I don't know. What is that analogy?
Have you? You need to get down there where goats can graze on it. I mean, it's just an old saying. My grandpa.
All the fluff out.
Yeah, it's
all the fluff and the riffraff.
Right. It's old phrase that my grandpa used to say. Now, I'm very interested in this, Dan. Have you ever had goats?
No, sir.
Are you considering getting some at your wife's suggestion?
I mean, I am the chicken Dan. I've had chickens for a while. Does that count? And she really wants the goats.
Are you considering getting goats for their grazing performance? In other words, is it an effort to keep your fields down to a manageable level without having to constantly cut them?
Oh, no. My dad said you have to tether them to a pole with like a 6-foot rope, and then they'll clean a circle around that pole, and then you move the pole to the next spot. But if you just let them run around, they're going to eat all the clover, and they're going to leave all the stuff you don't want them to chop down.
Yeah, they'll eat the good stuff, and they'll leave the bad stuff. They're not stupid.
And same with bats. And
I would do the same thing, Dan. If you left me in your kitchen untethered, I'm going to eat the good stuff before I go to the the rice cakes.
Well, yeah. And the seaweed.
The kale salad will be the last thing that's eaten in your kitchen if I'm in there. Your frozen pizza is the first.
The honey will be gone immediately.
Oh, the honey's out. Frozen pizza, first thing to go, my man.
Well, I did want to clarify that. I love that analogy of cutting it down where the goats can graze, and it just with all the stuff that's going on in the world, boy, I tell you what. Get a little bit more granddad's common sense into the situation, and we'll be just fine.
Well, I lean on my paw, I tell you what, Dan, more than you can imagine. I remember him. I think about him every day. I talk to him every day, in a way. And I try to remind myself of some of that very simple, common sense approach to life. I mean, my grandfather was the definition of Leonard Skinner's simple man. You be honest. You don't lie to people. You don't steal from people, which is ultimately the same thing. You be true to yourself and your core beliefs, and you reflect that in your values in everyday life. It ain't that hard. Dave is next in Hendersonville with a thought on the polls. Hey, Dave, glad you called.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm great.
Man, I think you're absolutely right. I said something to Brian about the polls. The Rasmussen's I trust. The ABC, NBC, they overpoll the Democrats to get what they want and to try to make people think that their side is doing better than they actually are. But you hit something touched on something just a moment ago that I've been saying. Her spokesperson or whoever tweets for her is saying how she's not against it, fracking or taking care of the border or wanting to close it. I want to hear her say it, because if she don't say it, then and she gets elected, she can just ignore it. I never said that. That's somebody that worked for me that tweeted out that I didn't authorize it. That's not my feeling. But I've got another way I think I'm going to combat some of their antics. We have people like you, which do a great job, man. I've been trying to find a liberal station I could call to find out why it is that they all think that she is so good and behind her, if they know about her policies and stuff. But I can't find one.
Yeah, it's amazing how liberals can't manage to engage in the arena of ideas when they're expected to back up their ideas. One of the reasons that liberals have existed so well in the past on the opinion pages of what we used to call newspapers, and now I suppose we call them websites, would be that they don't have to respond to the general population when they point out the logical fallacies of many of their arguments. In this case, they seem to just choose to ignore that Kamala Harris has flip-flopped, or at least her spokespeople are now flip-flopping on every major issue. And I think these are the things, and Dave, thank you, I've got to run. I think these are the things that we ought to be highlighting as opposed to, I mean, once again, I don't want this because many of you think this is not a knock on Wilson. I don't disagree with the idea or the opinion that there's an off-message moment here for Donald Trump. I don't really understand what that means outside of you don't like Donald Trump calling people names, you don't like Donald Trump sidetracking with regard to crowd sizes. I mean, if that's what it is, then that's just a personality of Trump that you don't care for. Donald Trump exists because he's not a polished politician. And you're going to get some of this when you get that. I thought we understood that. I mean, and maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. But now, I mean, even with all of the faults of Trump, even with all of the issues, he was destroying Biden. And even with all of these faults, he's ahead of Kamala Harris, something the mainstream media won't tell you either. It's 12:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you own a business and have not been able to afford your health plan or to offer your employees a health plan? There are very inexpensive health plans available for you employers. If you want to provide a health plan for your employees, if you would like to offer a more conservative plan with better benefits and 40 to 70% less monthly and less money out of your pocket, then the possibility exists, and I want you to call Pat Davis and yourhealthplanman.com right now. Pat Davis can also offer you, the consumer, the end consumer, a very inexpensive alternative to Obamacare or to other plans that offer you things that you simply don't need. If you currently have Cobra or an inexpensive, or I should say an expensive plan through your work, did you know that there are inexpensive plans that are available for you that don't cover things that you don't want or need, like abortion or other things like, for example, maternity coverage for somebody that's 60 years old and simply doesn't need it? Friends, The options are endless, and your health plan man, Pat Davis, he has the answers for you. He becomes your healthcare concierge. They will treat you better at Your Health Plan Man. Go to yourhealthplanman.com, yourhealthplanman.com, or 855-4-PLAN-MAN, 855-4-PLAN-MAN. That's 855-4-PLAN-MAN for more information about Your Health Plan Man. Online again, yourhealthplanman.com.
Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 91 degrees. Your weather forecast is coming up. Arrests and federal charges now in the death of actor Matthew Perry. The Friends star dying last October from a ketamine overdose. We hear now from ABC's Alex Stone in Los Angeles.
We have known that this investigation had been underway for quite a while, a number of months. The LAPD, the DEA, the U.S. Postal Service involved, maybe that mail was involved to get the ketamine to Matthew Perry. But now after many months of investigating led by the DEA, now we know charges have been filed.
A doctor is one of the suspects. The DEA and U.S. Attorney for Los Angeles are expected to hold a news briefing about all this later today. A grim milestone in the war in Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry says that including combatants, the death toll has reached 40,000, with more than 92,000 others wounded. We hear now from ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge in Tel Aviv.
The Israeli military says it has killed more than 15,000 combatants, but within that figure of 40,000 killed, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry, they say about 11,000 children have been killed. And we've certainly seen, even in the last 24 hours, a lot of graphic video coming out of Khan Yunis, where the Israeli military continues its operations, showing badly injured children.
The ministry says that 85% of Gaza's 2.3 million residents have been displaced. This as the ceasefire hostage negotiations are underway in Qatar. The U.S., Israel, Egypt, and Qatar are all taking part, but Hamas is not there. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Kraft Body Scan. Right now, during the month of August, they've extended it through the summer months. You can get a couple's heart and lung scan from Kraft Body Scan for only $149. What an incredible value. What does this scan do for you? You might be wondering what's going on inside of your body. Maybe you've noticed a symptom or two, and it's nothing serious, but you want to make sure that it isn't something serious. The only way to find out is to check under the hood. When you think you have a mechanical issue, you go to the shop and you check under the hood. When you think you have a body issue, what do? Well, you can do some blood work, and that can give you a line on what's going on, or you can check under the hood with Kraft Body Scan. These CT scans are incredible. They can discover issues going on within your body or give you the peace of mind to sleep better tonight knowing you have nothing going on with your heart, nothing going on with your lungs. They have other scans available as well. But right now, the introductory heart and lung scan, normally valued at over $2,500, is only $149. That's what it's all about, folks. Bring a loved one. TogetherWeScan.com is the website. TogetherWeScan.com, or call 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. 1000 for our good friends at Kraft Body Scan, online togetherwescan.com. Hey, by the way, a public thank you. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello. Glad you are with us. I hope that Mike W. is listening right now. Mike, I wouldn't say your last name on the radio, but it was a pleasure to meet you at the Glock store recently. We had an event at the Glock store, and I was there. Chris Hand was there. It was the fourth annual open house at the Glock store. Dan Mandis was there. And Mike was there and had a wonderful hat on his head that said God, Guns, and Trump. And it's got a nice design on the bill of the cap. And the other day, Mike dropped off a number of the God, Guns, and Trump hats for us. He tried. We commented on it. I know Hand and I were standing there, and we made a comment about it, about how much we liked it. And he wanted to give us the cap off of his head. I said, I'm not taking the cap off of your head. I love it, but I wouldn't do that for you. I wouldn't do that to you, rather. So he stopped by and gave us a number of caps, one for each of the hosts. So I don't know where some of them have gone. I think I know I gave mine away. Mike, don't worry. I got plenty of caps. But thank you. I just wanted to publicly say thank you to Mike. It was very nice of him to offer us that wonderful gift. And I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate it, Mike, more than you know. Thank you so much. And thank you all for listening to the Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Spent the better part of the hour trying to figure out, what do we mean if you are one of the ones, and once again, I'm not knocking one's opinion on it. Everyone's got an opinion. They're like elbows. We've all got a couple of them at our fingertips. And, my grandpa used to say opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one and they smell. But I'm trying to get to the bottom of what we mean when we say that Trump is off message. I listen to a lot of Trump. I understand that he is very verbose. I understand that he is a tree talker. He goes from branch to branch to branch, from subject to subject to subject. He runs all over the joint and comes back home again. And I understand that he is willing to cast an aspersion or two. That said, is that what you want? You just want to change the personality and lose some of the name calling? Because I think that's a part of the package. I think that's what you get with Trump. I think suggesting that somehow brings him off message, I just don't know what you thought you were going to get with Donald Trump. I think he's established what he's giving us at this point. Now, obviously, he was taking care of Joe Biden because Joe Biden was an easily defeatable candidate, and Joe Biden did not have the ability to fight back. This particular candidate has an ability to fight back and right now has a compliant media. My greater issue is how the massive amounts of media members, journalists, have decided that they're going all in on Kamala Harris. They're not going to question her authenticity. They're not going to question her position on issues or flip-flopping. They sure as hell aren't going to tie her together with Joe Biden when she doesn't want it. At least that's the manner that it seems that they're covering this thus far. But what I predicted, and I go back to the beginning, and I'm not saying I'm the expert, and I'm not saying I'm singularly going to be right. It's just one man's opinion through 25 years of experience doing this job. Kamala Harris will get about an 8-point bounce. I said that when they named her the presumptive nominee. When Joe Biden announced he was leaving, I said the next show, expect her to get a 5 to 8 point bounce. That bounce is going to continue until the Democrat National Convention. The media is going to fawn over her. She's the best thing since sliced bread. Nothing can defeat her. She's so good. She's so awesome. All the good things that Biden did, that was Kamala. All the bad things that happened, that was against her advice. And all of these things have come to fruition. But the American people, as they dissect all of this, are smarter than all of that. The American people understand a flip-flopper when they see one. The American people understand a path that is made easier for one individual over another more than some of these folks in the game think, I believe. I mean, if we don't as a country, then we're already lost. I mean, I'll give you a great example of what I'm talking about. The general press is about to gush over Kamala Harris's economic idea regarding price controls. Now, the last month of media coverage in the American presidential cycle has represented a huge irresponsibility on the part of the mainstream media. They have simply declared that they're not going to dive deep into Kamala Harris's record. They're not going to do it for fear that the American people will learn more of it. They're not going to highlight her fabrications. They're not going to highlight how she ascended to popularity in the state of California. And they sure as hell aren't going to talk about her position on the issues in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023 versus what her people, her PR people, claim her positions are today. Any legitimate press would tell the American people what Harris is, what she has been, and compare that to what she claims to be today. Kamala Harris is set to roll out, according to the New York Times, a call for a federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries in a speech tomorrow. Campaign officials said late yesterday, according to the Times, that this is an effort to blame big oil companies for persistently high cost of American consumer staples. Big companies, including oil companies, but others. The plan includes large overlap with efforts that the Biden administration has pursued for several years to target corporate consolidation and price gouging, including attempts to stoke more competition in the meat industry and the Federal Trade Commission's lawsuit this year that seeks to block the merger of two large grocery retailers, Kroger and Albertsons. So none of this is a real plan. As Charles Cook notes in National Review, Kamala Harris is not genuinely interested in a federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries. What she is interested in doing is separating herself from the disastrous economic policies of the Biden years, where she served as vice president, and ultimately eliminating one of her key liabilities going into the election, which would be the economy. She gets a double whammy here for the stupid. That there's a period at the end of that sentence. If you are ill-informed, if you're misinformed, or if you're just plain dumb, then this is easy pickings for Kamala Harris to say, it's the mean, evil, big, rich corporations that are increasing your prices at the pump or your prices at the grocery store. It's not us. It's not the government. It's not the Inflation Reduction Act that actually did the opposite. It's not the inept economic policies of the Biden administration that led us to where we are. It's the mean, evil, rich corporations. Big business is preventing you from getting the prices that you deserve. They are price gouging us, she will say. So she proposes the remedy is to go after these big companies and in some form or fashion, they're not really specific about this, stop them from quote unquote price gouging. This has been a market tested term, friends, that works. Let's stop the companies from gouging us. Oh yeah, let's stop them from gouging us. You mean you don't believe in the free market? You don't believe in the basic laws of economics? You don't believe in free market economics? You don't believe in the laws of supply and demand? Or you do? Because if you do, if you believe in capitalism, if you believe in robust competition, fair-minded and equitable competition, but competition nonetheless, then you should believe that the government should stay the hell out of it. And oh, by the way, none of this is going to come to fruition, and they know that. They just want to run on it as a campaign issue because it tests well amongst the people that Kamala Harris thinks she needs to get to vote for her. Kamala Harris is not interested in any sort of federal ban on corporate price gouging. She is interested in insulating herself against the disastrous economic policies of the Biden administration and secondarily running on this. The plan is designed to, as Cook notes, get the disgracefully compliant media to repeat the premise that the disastrous Biden-era inflation has been the fault of greedy corporations and not of reckless fiscal policy on the part of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the rest. And to, number two, and most importantly, to get Republicans to oppose it. Because sadly, this thing can be boiled down into a soundbite that the disingenuous Democrats think benefit them at the polls. Kamala Harris says that she wants to bring grocery prices down at the grocery store by stopping price gouging. And anyone that says, hey, this plan, A, won't work, B, goes directly against the basic laws of economy, directly against the free market. And oh, by the way, price controls have never worked anywhere that they've been tried by governments. If their goal is to bring prices down, they've never worked. They don't work in Venezuela. They didn't work in the 1970s when Richard Nixon tried them in the United States of America. They haven't worked anywhere. Well, you're kind of barking up a tree now because you're explaining, and while you're explaining, they're saying that the Republicans want to protect big grocery or big meat or big company or whatever it is. So as soon as Republicans, rightly so, oppose this, the Democrats believe that the American population is too dumb to understand the dynamics of the issue at work here. It is not the government's job to fix prices, nor does it ever work to the benefit of the consumer, ever. Yet Kamala Harris is all in on this concept because she thinks it works as a campaign issue. Understand, they have no interest in exploring this as a real policy. It is a campaign issue designed to do two things: separate herself from Joe Biden and attack the Republicans who will rightly note that this is socialism at its most core. The idea of fixing prices or controlling the means of production within a system or a business is fascist and or socialist, depending on how much control the government actually takes over on the private side of production side of things. Am I making sense to anybody? This is an example of the uphill battle Donald Trump and Republicans and conservatives and libertarians and others who believe in the way that we do business in this country. This is the uphill battle that we face. The only thing that happens when price controls are instituted is you create a scarcity of the product. And over and over and over again, I can give you examples of that. And oh, by the way, price controls involve wages too. There are things called price ceilings and there's a thing called a price floor. And a price ceiling is you won't allow any good or service to be priced above a certain amount. A price floor is you're not going to allow any floor cost to go below the level of the floor because the price of labor is called wage, and minimum wage is a form of price controls, and it doesn't work either because you either charge those jobs out of existence, or if the jobs are valuable enough, good businesses that want to do well by their employees and their customers are already paying more than the floor price anyway, as evidenced by the minimum wage today. Price fixing will solve nothing. What you need to do is call this a socialist answer and compare Kamala Harris to the Venezuelan president Maduro. By the way, Venezuela currently has price controls in place, and they are one of the worst economies in the world. In the meantime, For the first time since he was forced out of the race, Joe Biden is being a good little soldier, and he just delivered a speech in Maryland. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, raising hands there. Joe smiling, looking like he might know where he is, but we're not so sure. They gotta.
You're being generous.
I mean, maybe. How do you feel if you're Joe Biden? What a pathetic figure. What a pathetic figure. 21 after the hour. Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Your call's on the way on the issue of price gouging, price fixing in free markets. It doesn't work. It's an example of how the media narrative has tilted in favor of Kamala Harris, which is why I ultimately believe that many are saying that Donald Trump's off message. I don't think Donald Trump's off message, except that you don't like the style that Trump has been presenting since 2015. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like the style, you either get over it or you don't. You either believe that we'll go down the road of socialism or you don't. And frankly, if it is a losing strategy to call out these individuals for what they are, America's already lost. It's 22 after the hour on Supertalk. You know who believes in capitalism and the free markets? U.S. Pest. Our good friends, J.K., Erica, and the rest of the team over at U.S. Pest, they believe in this country. They believe that they're the best pest control company around, and they've demonstrated it time and again. There's a reason that U.S. Pest is growing by leaps and bounds every single year since J.K. and Erica took over the company. Why? Because they believe in this country. They believe in this community. They believe that you deserve a life free of pests like ticks and fleas and spiders and stink bugs and ants that my grandmother used to call aints. I don't know why, but she did. One way or the other, she needed U.S. Pest in her life because she lived a constant battle with ants. I don't have to because I've got U.S. Pest. Full-service pest control available to you with a 100% money-back guarantee. They also offer termite protection with a 100% money-back guarantee. Every home in Tennessee is threatened by termites. You need to make sure that you're not under threat with U.S. Pest. Plus, they offer crawl space services that I'm very excited about as well. Get a free estimate today by calling U.S. Pest or joining them online at uspest.com, uspest.com, or call 590-1260. 615-590-1260 for U.S. Pest.
ceasefire negotiations underway in the Mideast crisis, but not all parties are present. And another drowning on a Tennessee waterway. We'll have those stories at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Jay Harper. To your calls momentarily from now, discussing the presidential race and Kamala Harris's new economic plan that would call for price controls. Price controls, restrictions set in place and enforced by governments and never work. There's a history to this in the United States of America when, in 1971, President Richard Nixon issued Executive Order 11615. Pursuant to the Economic Stabilization Act of 1970, he imposed a 90-day freeze on wages and prices. The constitutionality of that action was challenged. It was upheld in a case involving Amalgamated Meat Cutters versus Connolly. It was a disaster, to say the least. Didn't work. There were a few price controls enacted prior to Richard Nixon attempting it in the early 1970s. I'll give you more on this because the ultimate results on setting price ceilings, price controls completely fail to achieve their objectives, or what is the stated objective, which is to reduce prices paid by retail consumers. What it ultimately does, it lessens supply. As Milton Friedman famously put it, we economists don't know much, but we know how to create a shortage. If you want to create a shortage of tomatoes, pass a law that retailers can't sell tomatoes for more than 2 cents per pound. Instantly, you'll have a tomato shortage. And it's the same with oil or gas or anything else. In the meantime, have you heard this story about a complaint being filed against, this is closer to home in the state of Tennessee. A complaint has been filed against the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security and its Driver Services Division for not providing language access for driver's license services. This, according to the Our State, Our Languages Coalition. The complaint alleges that the state of Tennessee is violating Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Title VI prohibits discrimination based on national origin and requires that all persons in the U.S. receive access to programs and activities carried out by any state agency that is funded by federal funds. The organization says that in Tennessee, besides English, driver's license tests are offered in Spanish, German, Korean, and Japanese. They go on to say federal guidance states that if at least 5% or 1,000 people, whichever is lower of those eligible to be served, are likely to be affected by a federally funded program or organization, they must provide translation and or interpretation services to those LEP individuals to ensure meaningful access to services. Language groups in Tennessee that exceed the 1,000 person threshold and are entitled to services. The bottom line is, this group is demanding that Tennessee offer driver's license testing and services in the following languages: Arabic, Chinese, Vietnamese, Somali, and a number of others. Additionally, the Kurdish community in Nashville, the largest in North America, which has over 5,000 LEP persons, also wants to be eligible for language services.
Is Russian on that list?
Russian is not, to my knowledge, on that list. But you could probably
I'm offended.
You could probably make that happen, KGB.
I'll make a call. I'll work on that.
Utilizing your influence and the clandestine activities that you are engaged in pursuant to your job here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, I imagine that you have
I got some pull.
The clout to make that happen. So I fully expect the next time that we see this story on board, you'll see Russian in those language services as
it
well.
should be.
By the way, when's the next time our road signs are going to be in all of those languages? I mean, my basic argument, this is what I would do. This is why I'm not in public office. You know what I would do? I would pull all the rest of the languages and say, our road signs are in English. English is the official language of the state of Tennessee, and we're not offering our road tests in anything other than English because you have to understand English in order to understand how to get about our roads. Period. Thank you very much. 131 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It is 1:31, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got sunshine, 92 degrees, a full forecast coming up. A grim milestone in the war in Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry saying the death toll has reached 40,000, with more than 92,000 others wounded. This as ceasefire hostage negotiations are underway in Qatar. The U.S., Israel, Egypt, and Qatar, they're all taking part. But Hamas, they're not there. We hear more from ABC's Tom Sufi Burridge. He is in Tel Aviv.
A ray of light prior to these talks is that, according to an Israeli official, the Israeli government had increased its mandate for its negotiating team at those talks. But the fact that Hamas is not there isn't a positive sign. The omens broadly don't look good.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, Fox 17 News reports that officers were called to Percy Priest Lake around 4:30 yesterday afternoon for a possible drowning. The investigation shows the 54-year-old man from Antioch, he was aboard an anchored pontoon boat and used the boat's recreational slide to enter the water. While he was trying to swim back to the boat, he began to struggle and disappeared below the surface, according to authorities. Witnesses say it took between 3 to 5 minutes to find the man. Once he was found, he was loaded onto the boat, transported to a boat ramp, and CPR was administered by witnesses until first responders got there. He unfortunately was not able to be revived. The accident marks the second boating-related fatality on Percy Priest in 2024. And the 16th boating-related fatality on Tennessee waterways this year. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Look, friends, it's a crazy world. I don't wish any of this on you, but the possibility of theft exists, the possibility of fire exist. I mean, crime is up in the city of Nashville. You've got to protect yourself is the message that I'm trying to impart on you. And Mark at the Safe House believes the same. A quality safe from the Safe House does a couple of things. One, it protects you in the unlikely event that you might see fire in your home. They've got fire rating protection with their safes at the Safe House that are just as good as you can find in the industry. And they've got many different safes with great fire ratings. You can ask Mark and his team about all of that. I'm talking about Fort Knox or Browning or Rhino or so many others. They've got vault doors as well. They've got storm shelters as well. They've got biometrics too. The bottom line is this, that if there's a crime committed in your house, like a burglary or a robbery, and I don't want that to happen once again, but it does, what do you do about it? Well, if you're protecting yourself with a safe from the Safe House, you don't have to worry about those types of things getting stolen. So protect your valuables and protect those things that protect your loved ones, like your guns, with a safe from the Safe House. Nashville Safe House is sales tax free when it comes to your gun safes. Sales tax free at Nashville Safe House. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com or 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. KGB out of training, running up and down. They're at the side door, KGB, side door there for you. 138 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, make sure that I'm up and running on the phones because I'm going to take a couple of phone calls while you're gone. So you're good? You're good? All right, good. All right, 615-737-9986. Angie in Cookville has a thought about Trump's messaging. Angie, thank you for your call. Thank you for your patience. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Wonderful.
Well, first of all, I turned 18 in 1999, and I have watched different elections, different ways, and I don't see where Trump is off message by no means. And if they listen to mainstream media, well, they done messed up by listening to mainstream media to begin with, because they don't report the news properly. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay. Yeah, they don't report the news properly anyway. The only reason I've gotten my news is by listening to you or catch you on iHeartRadio when I'm at home. Or I catch, is it One America? I want to say it's One America News.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yes.
Okay. So when they say Trump's off message, I think I'd have to agree with you. Ask him what is he off message on, because our economy is hurting.
Well, if it becomes, there's a lot of folks that will say that if it's a personality contest that Donald Trump's going to lose. And Angie, thank you for the call, and I appreciate the message that you're sending. I mean, I get these, and I get it. I'm not hating on anybody. I just want to have the discussion about what you think the battle plan is for victory here. There are some that seem to have given up. 0152 writes, unfortunately, many people no longer believe in a free market. You had a very astute caller a while back who nailed it. We've been living under socialism for a long time. Socialism creeps in over time. This is a continuation of that process. A large number of our population is now socialist. And then 0152 continues. Matt, Trump beat Hillary because she was disliked so badly. Couldn't beat Joe as a sitting president, and odds are he can't defeat a woman of color. Socialist, because that's the panacea for overfed, guilt-laden white people. I hope I'm wrong. Keep swinging, Matt. It's good to hear the band keep playing even on a rapidly sinking ship. I can't believe that you're right, because to believe that you are right is to believe that more than half the country has decided that they will vote against the nation's best interest in order to benefit themselves individually. And when that happens, when more than half of, not half the country, but more than half the voters are motivated to go to the polls to vote themselves a slice of the largesse of government against the betterment of government, against the future of the country, then we are screwed. Absolutely screwed. And maybe we are. I will choose to believe that we are not. I am not naturally an optimist. I force myself into a state of optimism on purpose. Todd is next in Kentucky. Hey, Todd, how are you?
How you doing, Matt?
Great.
First of all, I just wanted to say your monologues today, brilliant.
Well, you're kind, Todd. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I don't believe Trump needs to change a thing, because at this point in our country right now, everybody knows where he stands. They don't, because she's back and forth. So that tells you that either, like you said earlier, either you're stupid or you know what's going on. And that's who's going to vote. And it's going to be with the wallet. I don't care what any media says. And also, if you don't mind me saying, I believe these polls, she's just being propped up. Trump's winning by 3 or more, in my opinion. And also, and then I'll hang up and listen to you, I don't know if you've talked about it today yet or not, but have you heard where Stephen A. Smith and Jim Acosta both are attacking her for not doing press conferences?
Yeah, I did. I played that little clip yesterday too of Acosta just flummoxed at the Kamala spokesperson for suggesting that she's doing okay by not doing press. Would it kill her? They said, would it kill her? And thank you for the call. Would it kill her to do one press conference? He said. Yeah, we had that clip. Would it kill her to do one press conference? Apparently, yes. And the response was pretty darn amazing. So when people like Acosta from CNN are noting that Kamala Harris is running away from press conferences, when Joe Biden is now answering more questions from the press than Kamala Harris has over the last several months, I think that matters. Well, Jim Acosta asked the question. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Well, there's this one, and this is a pretty funny one, too. I think it bears repeating. This was Caitlin Collins of CNN on Stephen Colbert the other night.
Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
Funniest thing to happen on that show in a long time.
I mean, and it's not as if he has a conservative audience in that audience, man.
No, they just can read right through. It's so easy. It's so easy to say that's a load of you know what.
And it wasn't. He was not. I mean, he played it off. Stephen Colbert played it off, but this was not something that he was saying to be funny. He was saying this to be serious. Let's listen again.
I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I just report the news as it is. You guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes a... I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line?
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
I guess it is.
CNN doesn't even believe that.
No, of course they don't. Of course she doesn't. I mean, they live. I mean, but here's the line that the caller was talking about.
Would it kill you guys to have a press conference? Why hasn't she had a press conference?
Listen, the Vice President and Governor Walz have been busy crisscrossing this country since the launch of this campaign and adding Governor Walz to the ticket. You saw the ways in which they went across the battleground states last week, generating rallies of thousands, 10,000 here, 15,000 there. But
Michael, you know, a campaign rally is not a press conference.
It's going to be inclusive.
Do you mind if I cut in? I mean, you know, a campaign rally is not a press conference.
No.
Why hasn't she had a press conference? She's the vice president. She can handle the questions. Why not do it?
We absolutely are going to do it. You hear her take questions as she's out on the stump, and she said last week, we're going to be having a sit-down interview here before the end of the month.
Before that one sit-down interview before the end of the month. Let them eat cake, said Marie Antoinette before she was beheaded. Let them eat cake. Now, I'm not suggesting that we literally behead Kamala Harris, but I think that the Queen needs to be beheaded at the polls come November 5th, and I think there's plenty of time to do just that. Once again, back to the original point of the conversation that we started at 12 noon, at high noon. If you believe, and I'm not begrudging you this belief, if you believe Trump is off message, what is Donald Trump doing to be off message? Outside of what he's always done, he's always going to attack the man. He's always going to go ad hominem. He's always going to go after the individual. And yes, baked into that, he goes after the policies of the individual. So I suppose if you're asking him to be someone that he's not, I mean, it's all well and good to ask. I just don't think it's going to happen at this stage. And he is the guy. He's the Republican nominee. And I see him focusing on the economy. I see him focusing on these things. Maybe the mainstream media refuses to cover it, and they only cover the ad hominem, but that's on them. Well, if Trump would stop saying it, then they wouldn't be able to cover it. I don't think you're ever going to get positive coverage out of CNN over Donald Trump. You're never going to get positive coverage over at MSNBC. You're never going to get fair coverage at ABC, CBS, NBC. You're just not. And I guess part of me, and once again, I'm not lashing out at people that think this way. I understand why you think this way. I just think embedded in that thought process is this idea that we can reclaim fairness with the media. They are not going to be fair. Ever. Stop with this nonsense. Well, if we were just fair, we'd win. They're never going to be fair. Greg is in Hermitage next. Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course, Greg.
Going to ask you, you're talking about that Nixon did some price freezes fixing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't remember that, but I do remember I lived through the Carter years, which they were putting price fixing, freezing prices and everything. Hence, we got the rebate era. Do you remember that? Of course, that's probably before your time that you was paying attention to it.
Well, I know that I don't know about the Carter. I don't know about any price fixing during the Carter administration.
Well, he froze prices on an automobile. Hence, you go in and make a deal. The automobile industry jacked their prices up $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, not knowing where they were going to fix those prices at. So you would go in and make a deal, and they would include a rebate to get around that, to bring it down to where they thought it should be, in case the government said, this is enough, this is where it's going to be.
Was this...
Study on that, but the thing is, if we would pay attention to history, we would avoid a lot of this crap.
Was this during
like a fashion statement? I don't know.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Greg.
No problem. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just trying to figure out when it may have happened. I know as a student of history now, I was -1 when this happened, or -2, but I know that Nixon, in my reading of history, he passed an executive order that created price and wage controls in 1971, and it was an absolute disaster. And they responded to they responded to the oil embargo in 73, I think it was, by trying to control oil. By trying to manipulate the oil market in a similar fashion, and that did not work. Now, I know that Carter went through a similar oil crisis in the late 1970s, and I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember how he reacted to it. He very likely could have done what you're saying he did.
Right. Well, I don't know if it was, but the best I remember, because Reagan come in after Carter, correct?
That's right.
About 76, 77? Or am I wrong?
Carter was in 1970. Carter won election in 1976, was inaugurated in 77. Reagan came in and was inaugurated in 1981.
Okay, there you go. It was late 70s then that Carter was in there, and that because I graduated in 76 from high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember those, you had that rebate era come through there where they froze prices, and the auto industry jumped before they did it and hacked the prices up, not knowing where they was going to wind up at. And since you go in and make a deal with your dealer, he had a rebate that he was allowed to play with.
Well,
because of that.
The government manipulation of the market during the 1970s was an absolute disaster, Greg. And I'll do a little bit of further research into the disastrous campaign or the disastrous presidency of Jimmy Carter. I know that he had to continue. I think he dismantled a few price controls. He continued with the regulation or the controlled dissemination of oil product in the late 1970s as a result of some of what was going on. But I don't know that those price controls were fully dismantled until Ronald Reagan came into power. It's 52 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. The Tennessee Men's Clinic wants to see you, gentlemen. Are you feeling run down or sluggish? Are you low energy and you do not know why? Well, you could not be getting enough sleep. That's a possibility. Maybe there's something else going on in your life that's creating stress. Or maybe, just maybe, you have low T levels and that's creating a lack of energy, motivation, or drive. Don't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to know if something inside of your body is creating that dynamic by which you can't get the energy you once had? And maybe it manifests itself by not wanting to go to the gym. Maybe you're not completing tasks like yard work or a project that you've been on, or perhaps it has manifested itself in the bedroom. If you have a loss of appetite for these types of things, it's time to get that appetite back, men, with a visit to Tennessee Men's Clinic. Call the clinic today at 615-208-9090. That's 208-9090. 2 locations ready to serve you. You can select your location and get yourself an appointment jiffy quick at either of those, either in Midtown Nashville or in Cool Springs. You can also join them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. And when you go to either resource, please tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Get Back to Life Again Clinic, the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Good afternoon. We are about 10 seconds away from 2 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, man, getting hotter all the time. We're at 92 degrees now. Your weather forecast is coming up. In an announcement today by President Biden and Vice President Harris as they appeared together, the cost of 10 drugs for Americans on Medicare are being lowered. Here's Harris laying out the problem and what she deems to be the solution.
Medicare was prohibited by law from negotiating lower drug prices. And those costs then got passed on to our seniors, but not anymore.
The plan is expected to take effect in January of 2026. Well, there's going to be at least one vice presidential debate, but the GOP candidate, he wants more than that.
Republican J.D. Vance says he's agreed to 2 VP debates, first on CNN in mid-September and another on CBS October 1st. While appearing in Western PA, Vance made a point of taking questions from journalists.
Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are running from every media interview, running from every reporter. They refuse to respect the American people enough to stand before them and actually ask them for their vote.
So far, only the CBS VP debate has been agreed to by the Harris-Walz camp.
That's ABC's Stephen Portnoy reporting. We now move out to Los Angeles, where there are arrests taking place in relation to actor Matthew Perry's overdose death. Alex Stone reports.
Early this morning, a law enforcement operation was carried out to make arrests in the death of Matthew Perry. The Friends actor died last October from an overdose of the drug ketamine. Since then, the DEA, LAPD, and the U.S. Postal Service have been investigating the source of the ketamine that killed him. Now, federal charges have been filed and arrests have been made. Details on the charges are not yet known.
That is the latest news. Weather is on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
All right, friends, let's talk about USS, United Structural Systems, and their incredible back-to-school promotion they have running for the month of August. This ends on August 30th, so you need to listen up. If you've noticed the telltale signs of foundation or settling in your home, you never know which way that's going to go. Now, sometimes everything's A-OK, and USS will tell you if that's the case. But you need to get them out to your home if you've noticed some of the signs, like the cracking in the mortar joints in your basement or your crawl space, or settling, door sticking, window sticking. These can be signs of issues. Before they get too great, you need to make the call. And right now, any job that you sign on the dotted line with USS in the month of August up until August 30th, you'll get 10% off that job as long as that job's over $2,500. 10% off the job, and financing is offered, same as cash options available with no payment, no interest for 1 year. Here's the bottom line, folks. When it comes to foundation, when it comes to waterproofing your home, you need a name that you can trust. And for the last 30 years, USS has helped over 25,000 residential customers just like you. And now, if it's time for them to help you. Give a call today that so many others have made. USSTN.com online or 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for United Structural Systems. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're shifting gears away from presidential politics for a few moments. My name is Matt Murphy, by the way. If you're just joining us, this is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. It's live and it's local. It's a great conversation every single Monday through Friday from early in the morning with Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News through Chris Hand, yours truly, and Brian in the afternoons until the great one at 7 o'clock tonight. On this Thursday edition, I say we're shifting away from presidential politics. We may get back into that with Mr. Wilson toward the end of the hour. But right now, I had a wonderful experience. I love the community that I have joined over these last several years. Since I came to Middle Tennessee in December of 2021, I've gotten to know so many of you. I felt like I knew the South. I felt like I kind of knew by extension Tennessee, growing up in Georgia and living in Alabama for so many years. But as the places and the people change just slightly, those changes are noticeable, and it's just been wonderful to embrace all of you in Middle Tennessee, and to watch as the city grows and changes over these years that I have been here. One of the great locations in this area is Leapers Fork, Tennessee. If you've never been, you got to go. It is a fabulous little bitty, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little hamlet. It's a little village. It's a little farming community that's grown into so much more. And if you go, you're no doubt likely to have some lunch. One of the at least two, I guess, lunch places that are available or dinner places that are available. There's, a joint to watch some music. I don't need to give them any extra promotion, Fox and Lock, but they're there. And then there are many different business establishments to head down to. I was recently down there with the wife and friends, and I went into a business. We go to the various shops and just look around and do our things. And we went into a business and had a wonderful get-together with a lovely woman by the name of Melissa. And I have subsequently had an opportunity to meet her husband, Don. And I invited them to be a part of the show, primarily based on some of the stories they were telling me about Leapers Fork and, by extension, some of the folks that they do business with. One way or the other, it's a pleasure to introduce you to Don and Melissa, the owners of The Bunker in Leapers Fork, Tennessee. Hello, Don. Hello, Melissa. How are y'all?
Hey, Matt.
Good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Y'all didn't have to close up shop for me, did you?
No. Are you kidding? We came, this is like our Musk and Trump.
I know.
For 2024. It's great.
Honestly,
it might not be 2.5 hours, but we'll try to get it.
I've listened to you for years, so thank you so much for having us on. This is definitely a treat for us.
Well, as soon as I walked through your doors, it was a wonderful treat for me. Tell me a little bit about... and either one of you can start. Melissa, I guess I'll go with you first. I mean, talk to me about how you guys made the decision to start your business called The Bunker.
So when we first moved, kind of like you, I'm from Georgia, Matt. We moved to Tennessee. It's been almost 10 years ago. And we originally started in Nashville and kind of started driving around and seeing things outside of the city and found this little gym called Leapers Fork. We would go out on the weekends, just enjoy our drive. And I said to my husband, I would love to own a little boutique out here. Just the cutest little artsy community. So 2020 came around and then we go through COVID and we decided, you know what, it's kind of time to make the move. And at that point in time, I was having some health problems, had to have some surgery. And to be honest with you, it sort of changed my outlook on life a little bit when you go through something like that. And I said, let's do it. So we did. He agreed. We got out there and we really just stumbled upon a little space, and we didn't have a huge plan to begin with. I just knew that it was some place that I wanted people to be able to come and buy a t-shirt, buy some little piece of something to take home with them, where there's something for everybody, whether it's a $5 item or we have custom cowboy hats or, turquoise. Because I saw a definite, there wasn't that out there at the time. Beautiful art galleries, very expensive, nice things. So there's definitely a need for that. And we knew starting into it, we wanted to give back to the community. Our premise is God, country, and freedom. So we found The Bunker.
There's a clear military presence when you walk into The Bunker. I mean, there's an obvious appreciation for our military families and veterans. That is Don, that's clearly something that was important to you guys when you started this shop.
Oh, absolutely. That's why the Bible is there. That's open. We have 2 American flags hanging from the ceiling. And another, just honoring the vets, honoring police, really honoring all our first responders. That's, with everything that's gone on in the world, whatever, the past 10 years, we just wanted to make sure we gave back and showed our support for, all those different branches of the military, first responders, like I just mentioned. So we've loved being out there. I have to tell you, I mean, the number of people we have coming in from all over the country, California, Illinois, New York, wherever it's from, the stories alone were worth opening the shop.
We've met people from Sweden, China. It's really become quite the little destination for people to come out and see what the community has to offer.
So my backstory, and just to fill those who haven't listened to it, because I've told the story once before on the air, is this was the day we went down, my wife and I went down with 2 of our good friends. We had scheduled to go down and have lunch, and the day before, the assassination attempt against Donald Trump happened. And look, I wear my politics on my sleeve on a day-to-day basis for 3 hours a day at least. I mean, really for 24 hours a day. And so I'm not necessarily one to wear, clothing or whatever, but I'm also not afraid of it. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
If you're watching on Super Talk TV, there's got the fight picture on the back. The front's better, though. I love that. You missed. So I said to hell with it, and I put on my Trump shirt, and I walk into town, and I wasn't asking for a political conversation. I was just offering my expression of love and support for Donald Trump and happiness that it was not a successful assassination attempt, because God forbid what that looks like. And, look, I know that Leiper's Fork is artistic in its nature, and it's a little more low-key in terms of dynamic political expression. I think that's a nice way of putting it. But I was really surprised with the number of people that seemed surprised that I was wearing a Trump shirt, right? And it wasn't even negative. It was just a genuine, surprise. And so I'm walking around, I'm experiencing that. We walk to a number of shops, and then we walk into the bunker. And I was like, well, baby, I'm home now.
We appreciate that. Yeah.
Because you guys are obviously not afraid to express your belief in where this country needs to be. And you're selling, various items in support of Donald Trump. And that is your right as a proprietor of the shop, obviously. You get to choose what you sell inside of your shop. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it's certainly for some folks. It's for me, and it's for a lot of other people. What's been the reaction?
Well, I think what we were surprised at is, it wasn't supposed to be just a Trump store, which it's not. But, I was actually approached about 4 months after we had signed the lease and we're doing the build out. The owner of the building approached me and he asked me, hey, listen, there's some people that are concerned in the town that you're going to open a Trump shop. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm doing, but what if I did? And basically, we went ahead, we did our thing. My wife's like, let's kind of, just watch what we put out at first. And I really didn't want to do that, but I listened to her. And basically, one of the first things that happened, we had a woman come in that lived in California, had been here 4 years, told us we should do a shirt called Don't California My Leiper's Fork. So we did it, the shirt. We sold I think it was somewhere between 50 and 100 in the first week and a half, 10 days. And you got to remember, the majority of that goes back to charity anyway. So it was, it was great. The neighboring shop was offended by the shirt, asked me to take it down. I told him no. And by the way, let me stipulate that our shop is small, but we were also allowed to market or advertise anything out in front of the shop. So
you had the shirts displayed right outside your door.
The shirt was on a mannequin.
Rolling mannequin that I rolled in and out every day and every night. So it was not affixed to the building, wasn't a sign. It was just a T-shirt on a mannequin.
So your neighbor didn't like this.
Neighbor didn't like it. So I ordered more shirts. And So
you don't like it? Okay, I'm going to order 200 more.
Well, because I think it was the point, and it was the fact that they knew what our shop was about. They knew. So anyway, we ordered the shirt. We ordered the shirts. Shortly after that, I get a call from the owner of the building. He's like, Don, he goes, would you not agree that would offend some people? And I'm like, I don't really know what you're talking about, because these days everything offends people. The Bible will offend them.
Right.
So he said, well, he goes, I don't care. He goes, you got to bring it inside. And I'm like, well, do I have a choice? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. So at that point, I didn't know exactly what to do, so I brought the shirt inside. It wasn't 2-3 weeks later, we had a doormat out in front of our store, and I'd just say it had Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden on it that said, wipe here, here, here. That had been there since the inception.
Which, by the way, is everybody's favorite thing to do when they walk through our store.
Right.
You need to let people know where they're standing right as they come in the door. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
So we did that, and that was already out, and the owner said, we realized at times the mat was being flipped over at night. And then I got a call, take that inside. So it got to the point where it just got frustrating, because we were like, well, that isn't even Trump stuff. That's not even, so we had bought all this inventory, and, we probably have $200,000 into the shop. And at the end of the day, basically what the lease states is at the discretion of the landlord. If it offends him, he can ask you to remove anything. Well, the problem that we have is everything we've basically put out, not everything, but, we don't know what does and what doesn't. And there's other things at other shops that we know offend our customers or may offend us, and that's fine.
So I just want to give people some of the lay of the land of is it The Bunker?
It is The Bunker.
The Bunker.
Yes.
Okay, so the Bunker in Leapers Fork. My memory, you have some beautiful wooden waving flags that you sell.
Handmade by a police officer.
You have, I remember the Bible. I remember the gorgeous cowboy hats, and you have a variety of other like baseball type caps. You've got Trump paraphernalia and various stuff, but you also have knives.
Oh yeah.
You have some beautiful jewelry,
all handmade jewelry,
I would call it a patriotic variety store.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah, and I really try to focus on local artists. The guy that makes our knives, he's not local, but U.S. everything. I'd love to have every single thing to be
like handmade, handcrafted stuff.
You're not going to find this online usually. You're not going to find it down at Macy's. It's all very specialty items. Yeah.
Right. So so it's not exclusively designed to be, like you mentioned, a Trump store, but obviously you've got very patriotic things and you offer your support. And I thought about the reaction that I'd gotten from the Leapers Fork folks, the people that are around in the community, before I knew any of this backstory.
Sure.
And I said to myself at the time, well, you'll know exactly the type of customer you're dealing with as soon as they walk through the door, because if the shop's not for them, they'll probably walk in, say thank you, and walk out, right? And that's all good. That's fine. Yeah. That's to each their own, just as they would in any type of shop. What amazed me, Don, was the amount of pushback, as you're describing it today, that you're getting just from the community because you think a little bit differently than maybe they do, or you think differently than they want you to think.
So I just want to interject in that. I think that in, me working and dealing with people, the people that were born in Leapers Fork, the people that live there, they're very much on board. We have a lot of customers. We have found more problems within the business community there. So I want to specify that.
That's true.
The business community within the village itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not as, the other thing that, where it expands a little further than that and has been a little frustrating is when we ran into this issue, we looked at buying another building in town. And we had found one. And this is just a little over a year ago. There was a gentleman there selling one of the buildings in the town. And I saw him at Fox and Lock one day, and I asked him, I'm like, listen, word is that you're selling your place. Can you tell me what you're asking? And he told me. I said, so if I bring you a contract next week for that, would we have a deal? Yeah. So we had our attorney write everything up. We had him over to the house, went over all the details. Everything was good. He was just going to get back to me and let me know what his attorney thought. I heard back 2 weeks later that he couldn't do it because he said his wife wouldn't let him. And knowing how the things are in the town and knowing how they work, I said, is it a money thing or are you looking to sell it to somebody else? Oh, no. We're not selling, nothing like that. He's like, it's my wife. I was like, please don't let me find out that you sold it. 6 weeks. The person who has bought the majority of the property in Leapers Fork bought that property and is now turning it into something else. And I can't say for sure, but I think, again, this is just my opinion. I think that person keeps buying things so he can do exactly what he wants and not allow anybody else to do what they may want.
And I want to be clear, and you, Don, you and I, and Melissa, you and I have had enough conversations that I think I know where your mind is here, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're not asking anybody else to manage their business in any other way.
No.
And that's the difference that I want to make sure that people understand. Don and Melissa just want to run their business, run their shop, enjoy their customers, enjoy their community, and let the other people do the same thing.
Correct.
It's those guys that are insisting that you change your ways that give me the heartburn and that kind of piss me off just a little bit, to be honest.
That's right.
And I will say that I do feel at times within where we lease within the space, that we are a little bit discriminated against because of some of the items that we carry. Wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, when you're not allowed to advertise, so everybody else in our building has things marked like out on the front porch, marketing their stuff. Well, I'll say it. There are things that I know would be somewhat offensive to me or I might not like, but that's not my business. That's
They're
their
not
freedom.
being asked to pull
It's their business.
That's their freedom of speech. That is what the greatest part about this country is. And
Look, and by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you, but until I walked into your shop, the best thing that came out of Leaper's Fork was those bird forks. That I don't even know. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I don't know who does. Is in some shop in Leaper's Fork, you go, and they're called the olive pickers or whatever.
I know who you're talking.
You know, But somebody takes old antique forks and they take all the tines of the forks and they bend the tines of the forks down to make the finger. And then you can use them to like pick out olives or whatever.
So many great
Fabulous.
stores. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, but I mean, apparently the people we're talking about, they get offended by that. They think they have the authority to tell the shop owner not to run it anymore. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
That's not America.
I agree.
And I think that's where we are. You know, we opened this store to promote our beliefs, which is God first, our country, and freedom. And I don't know if did you see our sign, the bunker values?
I did.
When you walked in. So it's pretty much stated out there. And I think everybody should have that right.
A big metal sign on the right-hand side, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody should have that right, you know, for their beliefs and their values. I may not agree with them. They may not agree with mine, but that's our right as an American.
Everyone, I've got a lot of response coming in on the membersnutrition.com super text line. We're going to take a short time out. Don and Melissa are with us. They are owners of the Bunker in Leaper's Fork. What is the, people are asking me about the address. What is your address?
It's 4208 Old Hillsborough Road in Franklin, and we're suite number 4.
Okay. So if you know where Leaper's Fork is, if you go through Leaper's Fork, you go by Fox and Locked on the right, you keep going down a little bit, you'll see the building on your right, and you're right in the corner of that building. So, I mean, you can't, if you're in Leaper's Fork, you know.
Right.
You know,
There's
you really
not
can't miss
many spaces out there.
it. Yeah, there you go. We'll continue in just a moment. It's 2:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, owned by Dr. Stephen Poss, and they continue to grow. Dr. Brian McLaughlin is coming in with the same exceptional credentials as Dr. Poss, and he has joined Dr. Poss in serving Middle Tennessee even better. For those of you that are worried about your sleep, maybe you're not getting the sleep that you think you should, or you don't have the energy throughout the day. It could be sleep apnea. I was one of those guys. I didn't realize I had sleep apnea because I don't snore that much. I asked Dr. Poss about it. He said, take a sleep test. I did, and I found out I, in fact, do have sleep apnea, and now I have an FDA-approved oral device. It fits in your mouth. You guys will know what I'm talking about. It fits in your mouth much like a mouth guard in football, right? You put it in, you fall to sleep, and it gently supports your jaw, holds it open, and helps you breathe better, helps you sleep better. You snore less, without a hose, without a mask, without a CPAP. Fall's approaching, and many of you have met your insurance deductibles. And so now it's time to maximize your insurance by getting to Dr. Stephen Poss, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, as they are in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, and Medicare, and a preferred provider for TRICARE for our military. 2 locations, Brentwood and Murfreesboro. Find out more at drposs.com, drposs.com. All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A few more moments with our good friends, Don and Melissa. They own the bunker down in Leaper's Fork, and it's just, look, it's an amazing story. I mean, my America is a live and let live America, where I'm not going to trample on your rights, you don't trample on my rights. We're going to live and let live, and we believe in things like the free market. We believe in freedom of expression. I think you guys believe in those same things. But sadly, you're telling a story that kind of makes me shake my head and wonder where Leaper's Fork is headed. I guess that's where I want to head in the conversation. I mean, do you guys feel... I know you don't want to bash the town and you don't want to bash the people in the town. Hey, give me a little audio in here. Where'd you go? Give me a little audio over here for these guys. I know you don't want to bash the town, but it feels like you've been less than welcomed by some in the town. What do you think this is all going to come to?
I think we were just disappointed because for so many years that is where we wanted to be. And once we got everything, like once we had the shop and we bought our house there, the last place I ever thought that we would have an issue doing what we're doing is in Middle Tennessee in Leaper's Fork. And I think that's what's so frustrating. That's also something that we kind of wanted to bring to light, that just be aware of what's going on in Tennessee, especially here. Because to me, this is how maybe stuff in other states started. And when your rights start to be, our First Amendment rights were violated.
I just want to be clear, and this is how ridiculous it is. I just want to say this again. You put a mannequin outside of your shop with a shirt on it that says, "Don't California my Leaper's Fork."
Correct.
And you got told you needed to take that inside.
Correct, because it was offensive to him. And to some of the customers, apparently.
Our landlord.
I'm from California. That's not offensive. I'm from California. I don't want to do it either.
Jeff just said, I'm from California, and I like the shirt. We'll get you a shirt there.
Yeah.
Can I tell you? Go ahead.
So I'm in the store pretty much every day. I have more people from California that want to purchase the shirt, that say amen. They're not taking offense to it. They
know exactly what you mean.
They're refugees. Yes, they're political refugees.
Well, the irony is that you've got a shirt outside of your shop that says "Don't California my Leaper's Fork," and your landlord is doing exactly what you're begging not to do.
Correct.
By telling you have to take the shirt inside.
That's the whole point.
He's proving your point.
Right. That's what I mean. That's the whole point.
It's the irony of it. And I want to also throw in there that this is really a passion project for Don and I. It is, something that we started with so much hope, and we donate. Most of our proceeds go to the Gary Sinise Foundation. We try to pick a different...
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, right now we're doing Gary Sinise. We flip it around, but it's always something with the vets. We may do animals one day because we love animals. But, and now we're going through all of this, and we're just trying to do business and do some good in the world. That's it.
Well, my purpose is exclusively to draw attention to your business. Because I believe in supporting, beyond the wonderful endorsements that we do, beyond the wonderful sponsors that we have. I also believe in supporting local business that are doing right, especially when they have this kind of garbage heaped upon you, because you're good people and you seem to just want to do good by the community that you're serving and by organizations like Gary Sinise, and you deserve better than you're getting. And I know how many folks want to come out and want to support you, and by extension, you'll support Gary Sinise, and you'll support the real Tennessee that we know and love. And that's what it's all about, right?
It is. Absolutely.
And I think we're also part of the reason we were so excited to do this is so that we could have a voice to say what's going on, as Don said, that, you think this can't happen in your town, and it
What do you think? What do you think? I mean, I don't want to think the worst here, but what do you think's next for Leaper's Fork? I mean, you're there. You guys are there every day. You see it every day. I mean, for those of us that come in and out, it's wonderful, and we just see the good side of it. We don't see this kind of side. I mean, is there a danger here that they're going to do things to drive businesses away? I mean, I hope they don't.
I mean, my answer, I don't know if my answer would be this: if we had known how we were going to be. And again, this is by more the business owners than not the people. But if we had known how we were going to be treated and how Leaper's Fork was going to be now, as opposed to like 4 or 5 years ago, we would have never opened there. We would have opened somewhere else.
Wow.
I mean,
That's sad to say, but
I think that
it's honest.
It's always been an artistic, fun little community. They do great things. As long as the core people that live there, that are from there, continue to do those things, it will always be a great community. I think to Don's point, though, as the businesses change, I don't know what the future of the businesses will be like out there.
Yeah.
3581, which we designate our super texters by number a lot of times when they don't give us a name. They said, I'm in Leapers Fork right now. I'm going to your boutique. I want to buy 5 of those shirts. I'm giving them to all my California friends that would be proud to wear them. Chris writes in and says, please tell us the hour. A lot of people want to know when you're open, what days you're open. Give us the details, Melissa.
Yes, so we are there Tuesday through Friday, 12 to 5, and then we are there Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 6.
Okay.
Closed on Mondays.
Closed on Mondays, but every other day you can get in at normal business hours.
Yeah.
God bless you both. I'm getting me one of these shirts. Are you selling these shirts?
I'm selling the shirts. I'm bringing you one.
I love it. I love
Can
that
I have
shirt.
one too?
We also sell on Instagram, and we have a website too. So for
Okay.
those people
Well, what's the website?
it is thebunkerlf.com.
Thebunkerlf.com. That makes sense. That makes sense. Guys, thank you. Don, Melissa, we appreciate you stopping
Thank you.
by.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, it's news time, 12:33. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It's 2:33. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Mostly sunny, 93 degrees. A complete weather forecast is on the way. In an announcement today by President Biden and Vice President Harris, the cost of 10 drugs for Americans on Medicare are being lowered. The president says the move will enable enrollees to pay for drugs treating heart failure, arthritis, diabetes, and more.
Too many Americans can't afford the drugs they badly need for life and death. So they skip doses, cut pills in half, forego prescriptions entirely because the prescription drugs are totally unaffordable.
The plan is scheduled to take effect in January of 2026. The U.S. Secret Service is arranging to resume Donald Trump's outdoor campaign rallies, but they'll use bulletproof glass around him to make that happen. This all follows, of course, the assassination attempt on the former president from last month. Catherine Falders, she is in D.C. and reports.
We're told through sources that the Secret Service has ordered this protective glass, if you will, this glass that would shield Trump, at least on 3 sides, so in front of his podium and on the sides of him, and that is essentially the stipulation for getting him back out on the road at these outdoor campaign rallies.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here for the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. I first got to Nashville, and I knew that I needed to find a chiropractic care, right? I had experienced some back issues back in Birmingham. I mean, look, here's the bottom line. When I was in my 20s, people said, lift with your legs, not with your back. And I went, I didn't do any of that. I lifted with my back, and my back did not complain in my 20s and my 30s. Boy, oh boy, I'm 50, and my back complains now quite a bit. It does not say thank you for all of that lifting that I did in my 20s and my 30s. Thank you to the Dr. Gill Center for helping repair some of that damage that I did back in the day. And they do it on a day-to-day basis, and they can do it for you as well. For less than $50, you can get in and have an initial consultation and your initial treatment with the Dr. Gill Center. With that team approach, there's Dr. Wendy, there's Dr. Dominic, Dr. V, and the rest of the chiropractic care physicians that are there for you. Whether it's red light therapy, their Class 5 laser system, or spinal decompression, they have the most modern techniques to help make your pain go away without the need for pills, without the need for needles, without the need for surgery. They like to say, don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. And the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief, 615-882-4838. Call today.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com. I was typing out a response. By the way, I try to respond to as many of you on the membersnutrition.com super text line as I can, and I fail, and I apologize. Love the interaction. Absolutely love all of you. Thank you for being a part of our day today. It is 2:40. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, I had Don and Melissa in our studios for no other reason than to highlight their business, because I appreciate local business. I appreciate the type of business they were running, and I wouldn't have even done it. I mean, we're in the business of making money too. We develop those relationships and oftentimes get paid to highlight businesses, right? But this was not that deal. What I heard when they began telling me stories about how they've been treated in Leapers Fork, not by the people, not by the customers, but by the other business, some of the other business owners and their landlord, I couldn't believe it. And it indicated to me that the very thing that they were commenting on, the don't California my Leapers Fork, well, obviously you're already Californiaing my Leapers Fork if you're telling me that I'm not allowed to have that shirt in front of my shop for sale because it offends you? Because it offends you? To hell with your offense. So respond as you will. Many of you are talking about getting out. As a matter of fact, didn't you say that some folks were sitting outside the shop right now?
Someone called and they're at Leapers. They're like, we see someone in the store. It's closed right now. There's a guy working in there. When do they open again? Because you're going to get busy.
Don told me they couldn't find someone because normally it's Melissa in the shop. Mm-hmm. and they could not find, they have another worker, but that person couldn't get in that day, so they had to close up to come here. So they're on the way back, everybody.
Yes, it'll be open momentarily.
They'll be there.
I think they're going to get busy. We already got some people already supporting them in the chat line. It's awesome.
Well, listen, I mean, I love what they're selling, but more importantly, this is the United States of America. If I walk into a shop and that shop is obviously a place not for me, do I want that shop to close down? No. If you're selling legal products and they're just not for me, I walk on down the street. Sadly, there are some people in this world that want to shut those places down because it, quote unquote, offends you. Well, if it offends you, walk on by, baby. Walk on by. And yes, the neighbor that cried to the landlord about the shirt is obvious because that's the only other person in the building that they're in. They occupied the majority of the building. I'm not here to name the names. You know what? Many of you have named the dude that is buying up Leaper's Fork, and I understand that that's a problem, but they're open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think she said from 10 to 5.
And it's a Suite 4, I believe they said as well. Suite 4.
And it's a Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 5, if I'm not mistaken, and Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 6. So they're open every day in the middle of the day, except for Monday. They are off on Monday. And it's thebunkerlf.com is the website, if I'm not mistaken. Thebunkerlf.com. 43 minutes after the hour. Jason writes in and says, KGB doesn't run a tight ship. Bell would never have allowed you to start the news late, Matt. You know, in an ocean of funny things that you've said on the membersnutrition.com super text line, Jason, that might be the funniest thing. Because as Jay Harper just gave me the emoji with the guy, I make Jay wait. I'm always late. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get in so much trouble. I'm always late for the bottom of the hour news. Always, always, always. We ought to start calling it the 31 and a half, the 2:31 and a half news, not the 2:30 news, because I never go on time because I'm always late.
And I think they're throwing me under the bus here.
No. It's all me.
No. I mean, I think they want me to be in trouble. They're trying to get KGB out.
Well, yeah. That's pretty obvious, but I just like the emoji that I just got from Harper, who is always standing back there, always ready, always waiting, and I'm always late. And he just gave me the emoji where the guy's shrugging his shoulders like, what? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm here. Hello. That's Harper. All right, 44 after the hour. Yes, KGB is an agent of chaos. It is truth. Speaking of chaos, I mentioned this story earlier today, and I want to reiterate it. Apparently, there is an organization that has filed a complaint against the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security because they claim the state is violating Title VI of the Civil Rights Act that give access to any and all programs and activities carried out by a state agency that is in part funded by federal funds, and it requires those agencies not to discriminate based on national origin. In other words, it is declaring that the driver's license division in the state of Tennessee must offer driver's license tests in languages other than English, Spanish, German, Korean, and Japanese. Apparently, they want to offer the services in Arabic, Chinese, Vietnamese, Somali, and a number of others, according to the most recent census data. My question is this: why are we offering driver's license examinations in any other language than English? This is not to discriminate against individuals that have English as a second language or to discriminate against those who just recently came into the United States of America. Is it not a matter of health and safety that we prohibit non-English speakers from driving when all of our road signs are in English? I mean, am I missing something? Do you not have to have a basic understanding of the English language in order to understand how to operate a motor vehicle in the United States of America and in the state of Tennessee? I would think so. Maybe I'm wrong. In the meantime, before I get away from it, I'm going to share with you the best story of the day that you'll hear today. And then we will take a short time out and check in with Brian Wilson of The Drive. I did not watch a tremendous amount of the Olympic Games in Paris. I caught a little bit of it. I didn't catch a lot of it. I love my country, and I love those athletes that have worked so hard to reach the upper echelons of their individual sports. I don't necessarily like the organizers. I don't necessarily like the people that put on the opening ceremonies or the closing ceremonies or whatever, but I love my country, and I love the patriotism that I feel rooting for someone who is attempting to be the best at whatever sporting endeavor they're engaged in on the Olympic level. I appreciate that, and I'm never going to apologize for appreciating it. I also love Snoop Dogg. And from the clips that I saw, Snoop Dogg was like the highlight of the Olympics. Where he's hanging out. Man. Well, he was hanging out with Martha Stewart, his good buddy Martha Stewart, at one point during dressage. KGB, $20 if you know what dressage is.
Nothing. I got nothing on you.
All right, give me my money.
I didn't agree to the bet.
You certainly you guessed.
No, that's saying what is it? Tell me.
By guessing is impossible.
I have a 20 in my wallet. I will give it to you if I agree to that. But I don't.
It's a horse thing. I don't really know.
It's a horse.
It's when the horses are prancing
around. Put that
on
a T-shirt. It's a horse thing. Just Matt Murphy's face on it. It's a horse thing.
That would be a big seller.
Yeah.
That'd be a big seller at the bunker in Leapers Ford.
Oh, absolutely.
American rapper and Olympic sideline reporter Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr., a.k.a. Snoop Dogg, has been accused of using a Class B drug in London, which is to say Snoop Dogg smoked weed. Now, that's hardly news in the United States where marijuana is legal, depending on your location, but it's an issue in the UK where cannabis carries a sentence of up to 5 years in prison. Snoop apparently upset a bunch of people because he stunk up the Mandarin Hotel south of London, where several Muslim guests went, quote, ballistic over the powerful aroma that was wafting through the century-old building, according to Radar Online. Although the Quran does not forbid marijuana, many scholars have likened it to intoxicants like an alcoholic drink and have banned the drug as a result. So Snoop is pissing off a bunch of Muslims in London at a 5-star hotel days before he left for the Olympic Games, to which I say I like Snoop even more now. In his honor later on tonight, I'm going to have gin and juice. It is 2:49 on Super Talk. We talk about the Glock store quite a bit on the Matt Murphy Show. It's the best place to buy a Glock. Every Glock is in stock. It's the best place to learn about Glocks, where every session is a private session and lesson. It's the best place to shoot. They don't have lanes. They have rooms. It's the best place to compete. They have regular competitions. Every single month, you've got low light and no light and USPSA. Well, how about this one? The Glock store is the place to hold your next party or gathering. There ain't no party, as they say, like a Glock store party. The Glock store is a great place to hold a celebration. They've got big rooms from birthdays to retirements to corporate team building. Parties include a VIP room, a full kitchen, a dedicated shooting room, instructors for that shooting room, various shooting activities set up by set instructors designed for every level, and they also include ammo. You heard me. They include the ammo even with the full auto option. They include the ammo. That's what we're talking about here. All you have to do is contact them at party@glockstore.com. That's party@glockstore.com. Include the day, time, and the number of people, and they'll be back with a great party idea. The Glock Store, my place to shoot, your place to party, minutes away from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, winding down my portion of the day, anticipating Brian Wilson and The Drive. Brian joins us to talk about what he will be talking about mere moments from now. And Brian, I've been asked to request of you.
Okay.
Because immediately, I asked a question in the 12 o'clock hour, talked about it for a good portion of the show today, and immediately, there are some that are trying to pit Wilson against Murphy, and I'm not going to allow this to happen, because mine was a genuine question. For those that believe, and I've heard you, and I know that you feel this sincerely, and you have more knowledge about inside the Beltway politics than I ever will, but for those that believe that Trump has been off message, my question was, genuinely, what do you want him to do more of?
I'll tell you exactly where I think he gets off. Gets off on the wrong foot. I mean, I think his messaging, he says things that really are important. And you notice when he gives a speech, when he's looking left and he's looking right, he's on message. That's because he's reading the speech. It's when he looks forward to the center and starts riffing, that he sometimes says things that undo all the good that he has just done. And I've said my piece about this. I feel like I'm right on this. And I think if you look at some of the people who have been, laying out their opinions about this in hopes that Trump will see it and perhaps, take the advice to heart, I don't think I'm wrong. I also point out that it is interesting that there is a new campaign person, an old campaign person coming back, Corey Lewandowski.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm hoping that will set things right, that they'll get back on message and step away from the stuff that detracts. He's saying stuff that matters. But the stuff that catches the attention and the headlines often is the stuff that doesn't matter, and that's my concern.
Well, and that's a fair concern and a fair opinion, and we'll hear much more of it coming up in mere seconds with Brian Wilson and The Drive. Question asked, question answered. I absolutely love the conversation, and I hope you enjoy The Drive for the next 4 hours right after Jay Harper's newscast on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Have a great day, folks. So long.